Well, following those remarks on abortion last night, it took less than 24 hours for a pro-Hillary Clinton PAC to use Trump's words against him. Watch.
It's a pretty picture you drop into.
John and Dennis.
You wouldn't have your job if you weren't beautiful.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? Yes or no, as a principle?
There has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form.
Katrina Pierson is national spokesperson for the Trump campaign. Katrina, good to see you again tonight. And so, you know, the abortion remarks were so controversial that he was condemned by both sides almost instantly. There was no one defending them, no one. And he came out and did a full 180 on those and now is claiming he misspoke. To those who say Mr. Trump misspeaks a lot, he said the war in Afghanistan was a mistake and then said that was misspeaking. He said that that Obamacare, that he likes the mandate, and then said, no, he misspoke there. He said women should be punished for abortion if abortion is ruled illegal, and now he says he misspoke there. What say you?
Well, I say when you are a political candidate for 8 months, you are speaking off the cuff, Mr. Trump. That's actually one of his appeals, that he's not a scripted politician. With regard to this specific account with abortion, Mr. Trump did provide a statement, two actually, one on the proposed ban, because at first, Megyn, the media frenzy was that Trump called for a ban on abortion, which in fact he did not. That was the original statement about leaving it to the states. And the second statement was with regard to women, where he wanted to clarify that he does not support punishing women for having an illegal abortion.
Why did he say he did? Because what his critics say is it shows he hasn't thought the issue through, and this is not something that he's given any real consideration to.
Well, his critics are going to say anything at this point. We know there's a full-blown anti-Trump movement going on. We know that the full-blown mainstream media, as we saw with Chris Matthews, everyone is out to try and stop Donald Trump from winning the nomination.
Was the question unfair?
These aren't issues. No, not at all. Mr. Trump answered the question. He just answered it after Chris Matthews said, but for women, and he just said yes, because Mr. Trump was speaking about the legality here. This was a hypothetical context of something happening that was illegal. Mr. Trump was just reinstating, yes, if something's illegal, they should be punished. And then that's why he clarified for distinguishing the difference between the woman and the actual person committing the procedure that was not legal.
Let me ask you about these polls that show Trump has a 73% disapproval rating with women. 73% of American women disapprove of him, his unfavorables. Mitt Romney was viewed as unfavorable by 51% of women. Before the 2012 election, he lost with women. He only got 44% of their vote, and he was killed in that election. So 51% unfavorable vote. He only managed to get 44% of the women voting for him, and he lost in an electoral landslide to Barack Obama. How is Donald Trump going to do better than that with the 73% disapproval rating with women?
Well, I think there are a couple of things. Mitt Romney is not Donald Trump. I mean, at this point in time, Donald Trump has more votes than Mitt Romney did at this point. And you know, when we look at the national polls, everybody wants to talk about the head-to-heads as if there is a crystal ball. Ronald Reagan was 23 points behind Carter at this point in his general election. With regard to women, we saw this early on when Mr. Trump entered the race, that he had unfavorables with women. But as people started to vote, the issues are what began to take over. And of course, there is a negative perception out there. You now have Republicans joining in the war on women bandwagon against Mr. Trump. But we are going to have about 6 months.
But there's a reason for that, Katrina. There's a reason for that. They didn't just start that apropos of nothing. He did several things that led them to voice those concerns.
Yes, he's absolutely right. He's not politically correct. But I don't think that fits with the war on women. Mr. Trump has been very outspoken against men and women, also with praise for men and women. It's just there's one aspect that they want to focus on here, and Mr. Trump's going to have about 6 months to get out there in the mainstream and really show America who Hillary Clinton really is.
Great to see you, Katrina. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Megyn. Great to be here.
Joining me now with more, Marc Thiessen, Fox News contributor and former chief speechwriter for President George W. Bush. Marc, what do you make of that?
Well, basically what it is that what Donald Trump said about abortion is something that no conservative would say, but it's something that a liberal pretending to be a pro-life conservative would say. It's like when he said 2 Corinthians instead of 2 Corinthians. It's a tell that he really is not conversant, doesn't understand what pro-lifers really believe. He said in that interview with Chris Matthews, he said, this is a direct quote, conservative Republicans would say, yes, they should be punished. No, they would not say that. And what Donald Trump does is, because he doesn't understand what conservatives think, what he doesn't understand what pro-lifers think, he repeats the liberal caricature of conservatism. And he says it because he thinks that's what conservatives want to hear. But it's really what liberals want to hear, because liberals and Democrats want to run against the caricature of conservatives. They want to run against the Republican who wants to put women in jail, not the Republican who wants to stop abortion because women are victims just like the babies are. So he doesn't understand the issues, and so he's saying things that are utterly silly.
Wait, let's talk about the women issue, because Katrina accurately points out that Mr. Trump was doing poorly with women for a while in this campaign, and then his numbers with women went up. They went up considerably, and now they're in a free fall. And the question is whether he can stop the free fall and in fact turn the numbers around again. Your thoughts on it?
Well, because for years, Democrats have been trying to wage this war on women battle against Republicans, saying Republicans are anti-women. Every time Donald Trump opens his mouth, he says something that feeds that narrative. And it's not just this comment. I mean, it's obviously when you say that you want to put women in jail for having abortions, that is they take that as anti-women. But it's not just this one comment in isolation. As you showed at the beginning of this segment, he tweeted out the horrible picture of Heidi Cruz. He made fun of Carly Fiorina's face. He said, this is a quote from a tweet that he retweeted, if Hillary Clinton can't satisfy her husband, what makes her think she can satisfy America? That's from the future president of the United States. And then there's his sick obsession with you. The comments he made tweeting out, calling you a bimbo and a liar and crazy. And now with Michelle Fields, every time he tweets or opens his mouth, he says something that alienates women. And this is not what Republicans need. Republicans are pro-women. Donald Trump projects a caricature of conservatism that liberals are trying to project. He's doing their work for them.
Mark, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Megan.